Hello and welcome to the Gothic Unicorn. Today, in another one of my spooky little Christmas videos, I'm going to be making an alternative Christmas tree for the doll's house. Now this is a tree that's actually been inspired by a number of different images that I've seen online of the Addams Family, both cartoon and from the original TV series, where they have Christmas trees that are basically just the branches. No needles on their fir tree, it is just a dead branch. My idea is to make a doll's house version of that. Now I know I could just go out in the garden and try and find a suitable twig, but I thought this might be more fun. So to make this tree, I'm going to be using a few different things. For my main trunk, I've got a bamboo skewer. This is the kind that you would use for putting meat on if you were going to barbecue it. Nothing particularly remarkable about that, but it will give me the length that I want. You could use a thin dowel, but I quite like the fact that this has got a point on one end, so I'm going to utilise that. I've also got some wooden toothpicks. I'm not sure how many of these I'm going to need, maybe more, maybe less, it depends how big I decide to make the tree. And I've also got two laser cut wooden circles that are from a set that I bought a while back. You could use my favourite cereal box card, there's no problem with that, but I happen to have these and I thought, well, we'll use those today for a change. Now, my first step has been to glue together my two wooden pieces to make my base. Now these are approximately 20mm for the small one and 40mm in diameter. I think that's the right word. Yes, diameter. If I'd used the cereal box card, I would have chosen two of my punches and probably punched out 3 of each of the two sizes I decided upon, glued them together and then glued the two pieces together as I have done here. Now I've actually used wood glue for doing this, which means it's got a longer drying time, but it does mean that I can be sure that it's not going anywhere, which is always important. I have cut my bamboo skewer down to a bit over 6 inches. It's somewhere in the region of 157mm, which is about 6¼ inches approximately. And this now is going to get glued onto the base that I stuck together before. Now I have drilled out and sanded out a bit of a hole so that this has got somewhere to go, and I'm going to glue that in there and then let that dry to form the trunk of my tree. Before I glued the trunk in place, I marked out where I was going to want my branches to go on my Christmas tree, and I figured out how many sets I was going to need and also the sizes. Now they're going to go up from the largest at the bottom to the smallest at the top, and the largest are going to be, and each piece is 1.5 inches in length, and then the smallest ones at the top will only be 1/4 inch long. This gives a difference of 1/4 inch each time, which will give that sort of traditional triangular Christmas tree look. And all I've done is I've marked my toothpicks with little pencil marks, and I'm going to cut each one down so that I've got a pile of branches ready to go on the tree. And here is my spiky tree with all of the branches glued into place. Now as you can see, looking at it from above, I've got branches sticking out in all directions, and how I've achieved that is by offsetting each ring of branches from the one below. It just means that you get a more full tree, and I think I'll try and get all of it in there. I think it's worked out quite well. Obviously, next step is to paint it, and then I'll be moving on to some decorations. And the tree is now black. This has been painted with a satin effect spray paint. Now I'd normally just use a matte acrylic, but I do like the bit of shine that this has given. So I'm quite pleased in this case that I've gone for the spray paint option. Now you could paint it any colour you like. You could also make this not quite so threatening by cutting off the points, so you just add plain rods coming out, and you could make the same kind of a tree using chenille stems, metallic pipe cleaners. Same idea, you know, build up your layers, but obviously this is the look I want for my spooky tree. Next step is going to be some decorations, and let's see what I can come up with. In order to dress the tree, I found some beads. I actually found 3 different sizes, there's only 2 of them in here, but the colours weren't quite what I wanted, so I found some paint and I got painting. I also found this little chap here. Now he happens to be the remainder of one of these. You may have seen me using bits in previous videos. Well, he was hanging around and now he's going on the top of the tree. He's had a coat of silver paint and some 3-dimensional purple paint for his eyes, and he's ready to go. And I've also painted some little skull beads to go on the tree as well. So what I'm going to do, move those ones out of the way so I don't send them flying, is I'm going to start gluing the beads and attaching them to the ends of the branches, and hopefully this is going to work. I have attached most of the decorations to this tree, which are just baubles. All that I have done is I have glued one to the end of each spike. Now I've done that because it's quite the sort of modernistic sort of look and works with the shape of the tree. Obviously I've done the colours in layers. You could do all the same colour, you could mix it up, it all depends, but that seemed like the easiest way. And all I've done is I have put a little tiny bit of glue on the underneath of each spike. Put that down. And then I've got my beads, and I've put a good blob of glue over one of the holes. Now you need to use a good tacky glue for this because we want it to take quite quickly. And then all you do is you actually just hold it in place where you want it to go for a few moments until it sticks. Now to put the skull on the top, I filled the original hole where his spine would have once been, and I've put a new hole under his chin. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a liberal amount of glue around that hole, and where am I going to hold this? And I'm going to pop him on the top. Now all these baubles need to dry. On you go. And he needs to fit on a bit better. But that's my tree decorated. Using almost an identical technique, I've actually made this tree too. Now this tree is made out of 2 of the pieces of wood that I had at the beginning and a cocktail stick. And then the branches are made out of a metallic chenille stick, pipe cleaner. All I've done is I've cut it into varying lengths, and then I've stuck 3 on each layer. And you get a tree that is very reminiscent of the early artificial trees that I remember from my childhood, where more bits fell off each year and it got sadder and sadder. But yeah, it is another passable Christmas tree. Not spooky in this case, but it just shows you that you don't have to go all spiky and vicious looking to make your own Christmas tree. And here we have it, my beautiful spooky spiky Christmas tree and my tinsely artificial tabletop tree. Now, I hope you've enjoyed this video and that you will subscribe for more, and I'll see you next time. Bye.